G'day YouTube, welcome to my little channel where I get to make videos of me butchering quality castings. Every couple of weeks I visit my local op shop, go through their little box of cars. It's always refreshed, they sell them nice and cheap, so I think mums buy them for their kids. And I found this one. I've got a bit of a thing for Corvettes. It's a nice casting, paint's really thick, the wheels are just hideous, but yeah, I think I'm going to have a lot of fun doing this one. I was in the local op shop the other day and came across something I thought was a little bit special. So C3 Corvette actually. And it's a casting that seems to have been around forever. First came out in '76. I think they're still making them, I'm not really sure. This particular example is from '97. Metal base. It's a pretty good representation actually. I've got a bit of a thing for Corvettes. I mean, anything better than a C3 Corvette was probably a C2. Sort of Mustangs and probably more my thing. Actually bought a C4 vet out from the States to Australia a couple of years ago. And it was a lovely car. It was a one owner, low miles. Didn't take much to get everything working in that car. But no, this looks really nice. You can tell it's a later C3 because it doesn't have the chrome bumpers. Anyway, see if we can do something fancy with it. I'm just going to drill some pilot holes. So a new drill bit. It's actually a 1/16, which is a little bit bigger than a 1.5 mil. Fresh drill bits. To get the car apart, we need to take the mushroomed ends off these rivet posts. So with a larger drill bit and the cordless, we'll just carefully, well maybe not so carefully, just take the ends off it until it prizes apart. Check that out. Very different. Doesn't know how it goes back in. Oh, that obviously. A little indentation for the bonnet scoop. That's it. Like that. That's good. Oh, hang on. It's going to pop over, is it? Is it? It's fallen over. Anyway. Obviously won't be reusing these wheels, so out they come. We need to drill out these posts so we can tap it, put a screw in it so it all goes back together and stays together. It's a drop of very light oil. So I used to put on the bearings for my remote controlled touring cars years ago. It's a 2 mil tap. Right, now I'm going to be very, very careful. Most people do this by hand. I don't have a hand chuck. Yep, crossing over into the dark side. If anyone can recommend a paint stripper that you can get here in Australia that doesn't stink to high heaven, probably won't give you cancer. Just going to give this a go. Bye now. Cooking. And we'll put that to one side. Working out some wheels for this. I was thinking I was going to use these. It would look pretty sweet, I reckon. These are at the op shop for just a couple of bucks. Heaps of them. But it doesn't look like it's going to fit in between the wheel arches. So we may have to do something funky. So I'll get this off. What I've decided to do is to make my own axles. So I had some piano wire, which I've had for ages, and I've glued a small glass bead on one end with a bit of super glue, which I got from a local haberdashery locally. Sorry about that, I've wandered off camera a little bit. I've actually got a Sony action cam sitting on a little tripod in front of me, and I'm reaching around it, so I can't really see what I'm doing. But here I've put the other wheel on. I've put the glass bead on the other end, and I'm fitting it because I've left two tabs there, so the wheel will sit there for me. I'm just going to put the glass bead on, and then I will stand it up one end and put a marker on it with a black marker, and that should be approximately the right length. Now it's simply a matter of putting the other wheel on the axle, a couple of drops of super glue. This is the gel type, it doesn't run as much, it's easier to work with these sort of applications. Put the glass bead on the other end, and I'll set it down to think about it for a while, and hopefully it'll fit. And here it is, a test fitting. It's best to test fit it before you paint it all, I think. Risk damaging anything that you've already fixed. But the wheels are just sitting there in there. I haven't glued them in yet. I'll polish up the base and everything first before I do that. But it's going to look pretty bloody good, I reckon. Well, the paint stripper certainly did its job, and the castings come out very clean. Now our next trick is to hit it with a wire brush and get all that tarnish off it, and then we can see what we're working with. I'm using this smaller brass wheel just to help me get into all the nooks and crannies. In some ways, the shinier the casting gets, the worse it looks. This one in particular was very heavily pitted in places, and I didn't get it all out, but it's a long and tedious process, this one. Then of course we've got to try and get the file marks out of it. So I'm using these little emery boards I made up out of paddle pop sticks and wet and dry paper. I start with an 800, drop it down to a 1200 and then a 2000. So it's a case of filing, sanding, filing, sanding, filing, sanding, filing, sanding. Takes a while. Time to sand the whole car down with some wet and dry, starting with 800, 1200 and then down to 2000. Yeah, there's just got to be a point where you've stopped because you're never satisfied. Starting to get a half decent polish now as we get the 4-0 steel wool out. I went out and bought some Mother's metal polish, and I probably did this 5 or 6 times using the good old rotary tool and a buffing wheel. Went over the whole car and polished it up as best I could. Paint won't stick to a dirty car, so I'm using Shellite because I had some, and it is a metal cleaner, and I've got some gloves on, so pointless cleaning it and then leaving greasy oily fingerprints all over it. Give the car a really good wash all over. And to be doubly sure it's clean, I'm just going to spray it with some alcohol and a cotton bud. I'll give it a good wipe over, then dry it off with a dry cotton bud. Car's now been painted and it's now curing. It's time to start polishing up the base. So out comes the good old rotary tool and the wire wheel. Thought I'd give this nylon bristled wheel a go with a little bit of auto sole metal polish, and it seems to do a pretty good job. Just fitting the flash new wheels, getting closer to putting it all together, almost finished. So just making sure they're centered and then sitting properly in the groove. You really don't want to put them on crooked. And again, I'm using the super glue, gel type. I'm just going to put a nice big fat dollop right where that third middle tab would have been. Okay, quick sticky was what we started with. This 97, well, it's actually a 76 Corvette in white, with hideous wheels. Thank you very much, Mr. Hot Wheels. And yeah, baby, check this out. Look at that paintwork, absolutely gorgeous. That's Spectraflame out of a can. That's the Duplicolor metal cast in yellow, and it's come out almost gold. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Painted it straight out of how it says on the can, a light dust coat, leave it for 10 minutes, give it a heavier coat, leave it 10 minutes again, and then I think I got a little heavy-handed with the final wet coat, but it didn't run, thankfully. The windscreen was fine. It's simply been dipped in the self-polishing floor wax, but the only difference is I put a little bit of black ink in it to tint the windows. Those wheels look dead sexy, and this thing absolutely glows. One of these days I'm going to bite the bullet and get some proper Redline Spectraflame stuff from the Redline shop and give that a go. But really, for a rattle can, I think it looks gorgeous. And into its new home. It looks pretty good with its other Spectraflame lookalikes. It'd be fun to find some more of these Corvettes and do one in every colour. Create a bit of a rainbow. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Feel free to like or dislike, comment, criticise, best way to learn. And thanks again. I'll catch you on the next one. See yous.